Hello! In today's video, I'm going to show you me removing this stent which goes or went from my kidney down to my bladder. And I'm going to actually show you footage of me removing it myself. Now don't worry if you're a little bit squeamish or sensitive to these sort of things. I will give you a warning before I show the footage. So why did I end up with the stent inside me anyway? And why do I have to remove it and not have it done down at the hospital? Well, it started about 3 years ago. If you've not already seen the previous videos, I had a 7mm kidney stone and it wasn't removed when they said it had been removed 2 years ago. So last week I went into hospital to have it done again. And the way they do it is they put you to sleep and they put this flexible thingy scope up through my urethra in my willy, into my bladder, and then up the ureter, which is a pipe that connects the kidney down to the bladder. Once it got to the kidney, it had to go right down into the bottom lobe of it where the kidney stone was, and then using a laser, he breaks up the kidney stone into smaller fragments. After the surgery, he puts this stent into the ureter, which is that tiny little pipe between my bladder and my kidney. And you can see there's a little curl like a pig's tail at each end. So this part goes into the kidney and then the curl holds it in place. And then this bit runs down the ureter, the small pipe, into my bladder where there's another curl that keeps that in place. The reason it's there is to let the ureter heal because the pipe that connects the kidney and the bladder is very thin and it's very sensitive. And that's what causes a lot of the pain when you get the kidney stone trapped in there. And let me tell you, it's agonizing pain. If you don't know, it is really bad. It's proper grim. So this stent does a few things. It lets the ureter heal for a start. It also lets any smaller fragments, tiny little fragments, pass through this little stent rather than irritating that ureter anymore. And it means that you don't get any blockages in the ureter, which allows it to heal. Now, sometimes the surgeon will remove this stent. The last time I had it done, he did remove it. But this time, because the operation I had was in Edinburgh, which is about 5 hours away from where I live, he put the stent in and gave me instructions on how to remove it myself at home. Now you can imagine how anxious and worried I've been about doing this for a few reasons really. One is because there's this little kind of curl in it. I was worried that when I pulled it out, it might kind of wrap itself around and into a knot and not able to pull out. The other thing I was worried about is this kind of thread that comes out of it might snap and that I'd have to end up going back into hospital to have something put in to pull it out. And the other thing is just how thin this wire is. It is really thin, and I was scared that that might slice the inside of my urethra. That is just something I don't want to even consider doing. So in the end, here's how I got on. I've never been so scared in my entire life. So there's a few things that I've been told I have to do. First of all, find somewhere clean. So I'm in the bathtub by the shower, which has been scrubbed. It's a bit echoey in here, but anyway, this is where I am. The first thing I have to do is drink plenty of water before and after. So I had a cup of coffee when I got up. I've drunk about 2 glasses of water and I've got another glass ready to go afterwards. Second thing to do is thoroughly wash my hands, which I've been doing for about a minute with antibacterial hand wash, so they are nice and clean. So the next step is to literally go for it. So there is a thread that comes out of the end of my urethra, and that thread is attached to the stent which is in my bladder, and that runs up the ureter up into my kidney. So apparently I have to take a hold of that. And then it says relax, take a deep breath. I don't think that's going to cut it. I can feel my breathing is getting quicker, my heart is pounding already. And then what I'm supposed to do is just pull steadily, not forcefully and not too slow, and apparently it should slide out. Right. Oh my God, I am dreading this. Right, here we go then. Oh my God. That is horrible. There it is. I am shaking. I'm actually shaking. There is the stent. A bit of blood has come out, which it says is normal. It says is to be expected. Wow. Wow. Right, I'm going to wash that. And my God, I am shaking so much. Oh, I'm sorry for that. Oh. Right, I'm going to get some water, try and have a wee, because it says to have a wee to flush anything out. And then I think I need to sit down for a few minutes. So how did it actually feel? Well, it's not really painful, I don't think. I was worried about the kind of really thin wire slicing through me inside. That didn't happen. And when you start to pull it, it does feel a little bit nippy. Guys, you'll understand what I mean because you know. It feels nippy, but not too painful. And then once the actual rubber part of the stent comes out and enters your urethra, that feels a bit weird. Not painful, a bit uncomfortable, but just more weird than painful. When I watch the footage back, it probably looks a bit more dramatic, my reaction anyway, than it actually was. I think the deep breathing and like these deep forced breaths make it look like I'm panicking, and I think I was just trying to get through it. It wasn't actually that bad. The last time I had it done, I was in hospital and the surgeon did it for me the day after surgery. And that time, instead of being stood up in the bath like I was today, I was laid on the hospital bed, which was a bit weird because I had nothing on under the gown and I was kind of laid there with the sheet back, nothing on, legs spread apart, and it looked like a gynecologist or a midwife. I was about to give birth or something. But I just did it exactly the same way that he pulled it. And to be honest, it felt about the same as last time. So here is the actual stent that I pulled out earlier on. And it's very, very thin. If I put it down to the camera, you can see that the hole is only about 1 millimetre or 2 wide. If I put this ballpoint pen up against it, you can see how small it is. And it also has this thread, which I thought was cotton to be at first, but it's actually like a nylon or polypropylene string, which it makes sense because it makes it more durable, and I'm guessing it lowers the risk of any infection, which is something that I was worried about because that comes out of the end of your willy and it's like taped to the side of your willy then. And it's all well and good until, well, I think I mentioned this in the previous video, when things happen, especially at night when you're asleep and blood starts to move around the body, and it can tighten that, and that's where it does start to nip as it's pulling just as it comes out of the end of your, let's call it, member. So not the most comfortable thing, and I kept trying to change the position of that. So if ever you have a kidney stone and you have a stent like this fitted and they have to take it out, or you get instructions to take it out, how bad is it? Well, my pain threshold is normally quite high. I'm normally good with pain. Sean's the opposite. He's the complete lowest. I didn't find it that bad. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, the pain of taking it out was probably only a 2 or a 3. It's not that bad, to be honest. I think the thought of what you're doing is worse than actually doing it, if that makes any sense. But overall, not that bad. It's better pulling it out than it is having it in. For me, having the stent in is quite uncomfortable. So I immediately felt the relief as soon as it came out. Although saying that, within half an hour of pulling it out, there was a fragment of the stone, which there's still going to be fragments coming out over the next few days, maybe weeks. And that did give me a lot of pain for about 20 minutes until I managed to pass that with a little tiny blood clot. But I'm weeing fine. I feel fine, to be honest. I'm glad it's out. And if you're having one, don't worry. It's actually not that bad. Right. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.